What's up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this join or die flag. I got a recommendation to make this video, so thank you for the recommendation. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so first up I got two 8-foot 1x4s and we're going to cut 6 pieces at 29.5 inches. Alright, so next up I got this 8-foot 1x3 and we're going to cut 4 pieces at 18.5 and 2 pieces at 4 inches. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and take our 1x4s and we are going to rip them all down so that they're 3¼ inches wide. Alright, so now that we got these all ripped down, the next thing that we're going to do is get them put together. So you're going to want all of your good sides facing down, so whatever side you want for the face, you want that facing down. And then what we're going to do is on the backs of these, we're going to make marks at the bottom and the top at 1 inches and 9 inches. And then we're going to take our 1x3s and we're going to go on the insides of those measurements, and that is where we will be gluing and nailing these things. I'll also be gluing in between each of these, and then I will get them clamped, and then like I said, we'll be lining these up on those marks. I'll be gluing the backs of these also, and then I'll be using an 18 gauge brad nailer with 1¼ nails, and then I'll just do 3 nails per board per backer piece. So let's go ahead and get this all put together. Alright, so we got that all put together, and then these little 4-inch blocks that we cut, you're just going to line up the bottom of those with the bottom of that top 1x4, and then those will just be something to attach your hangers to. But now we can go ahead and get it flipped over, and then you're going to want to clean any excess glue that's coming out the front. You want to get that cleaned off as soon as you can before it dries up, just because it'll be much easier. And then the next thing that we're going to do is I'm just going to give that glue a little bit of time to dry up, and then I'm going to take my orbital sander, and first I'll go over it with some 120 grit just to get rid of some of these boards. Were actually, both of the boards that I got were a little bit cupped. I don't know if you can see right there, but they all pretty much cup, so everywhere they join, it's kind of a high point. So I'm gonna try and get rid of all that first, and then once I got it nice and smooth, then I will go over it with my 220 grit. And then I'll also go along these edges just to make sure these are nice and straight and sanded. And then it looks like I might have some little gaps between these boards. So after I go over it with the 120 grit, I might go ahead and just fill some of those holes just so that go ahead and fill some of those gaps just so that they're not standing out, just to make those go away. Alright, so we got this all sanded down nicely. And the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and get it stained. So I just got some of this Varathane water-based wood stain. This is tinted in Midnight. This is from Home Depot, but I think they actually did stop selling this style. But it's just a black water-based stain. And I will be using a rag to put it on. So I got it all nice and dusted. And I'll do at least 2 coats, maybe 3, depending on how dark it is. But obviously you can do as many coats as you would like to. And we can go ahead and get it stained. Alright, so while we're waiting for our stain to dry, we can go ahead and start prepping our image. So I just got this all printed out here. I can go ahead and put a clip in of how I get these printed out like this. Alright, so the way that I print these out is I save the image. I can go ahead and link the image in the description. but I'll just save it. And so I'll just go to where the image is saved. I'll right click on it, and then I'll do open with, and then I will choose paint. And then once I have it in paint, I'll just go to file, and then I'll go to print, and then I'll go over to print preview. And then from here, I'll go to page setup, and I just changed the fit to 3x3. And then you gotta make sure that it's in landscape, and you just hit okay. And then it will kind of show you how it's gonna print it out on the pages. And then obviously then you'll just go to print. And then this right here, I just erased that just so it doesn't waste as much ink, but that is how you get that printed out. But then once you got it printed out, all we have to do is just cut everywhere there's a seam. We just have to cut one of the pages so that we can line it up. So for instance, right here, we got a seam, so we just gotta cut one of the seams. And the way I like to do that is I just use a block, and then I just use a straight edge, or sometimes you don't even need a straight edge, depending on how much you have to cut. And then I just take a razor knife, and then you just want to cut it, and then that way you can go ahead. Obviously I still have to cut the rest of the snake, but then you can just go ahead and you're able to line those up properly. So I'll go ahead, get all the seams cut, and get everything taped together so that we just have one big image. All right, so I went ahead and gave that stain some time to dry, and now I'm gonna go ahead and seal it before we do anything else to it, just so that we don't like scuff it up too much. So I just have some of this 2X Ultra Cover matte clear sealer. I thought this one might look cool with a matte sealer on it, but obviously you can seal it with whatever you want. So we can go ahead and get it sealed and then give it some time to dry. All right, so I went ahead and gave that sealer some time to dry. So now I'm gonna take my image, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and get it centered on here. I'm gonna cut some of this extra paper off of the edges so that I can tape it nice and clean to the edges, or get it nice and tight. So I'll do that on the sides and on the top, just so that it won't move anywhere. And then the way I'm gonna do this is I'm just gonna carve straight through the paper onto the wood to outline everything. So I got my Dremel here, I got my flex shaft attached to it, I got a little dust blower on the end, and I will be using a 106 carving tip. So it's like the medium size. And you could also do it using the transfer paper if you would like to. You can just lay out transfer paper below it and then trace everything out so that it marks it onto the wood. I've done that before also, but with this one there's just so many little details that for me I would just prefer to just carve it out straight through the paper. And you just got to remember when you're doing it on some of these designs, you got to make sure you don't carve out around the whole design so that it's loosened. You got to do the smaller stuff and then kind of work your way out. And then I'll also be doing this inside line around the edge. I won't be doing this outside line, this thicker one, but I will be doing this smaller inside line. So let's go ahead and get this thing all carved out. All right, so I got everything outlined. So we can go ahead and pull off all of the paper. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is go ahead and I'm gonna put my bigger bit on. So that'll be a 107 carving bit. And then I'm gonna go ahead and fill in all of the empty spots. So pretty much anywhere on the paper where it's dark, I'm just gonna be carving that out so that it'll be light. And this bigger tip will just help me do that a little bit quicker. So we can go ahead and get all this cleaned up. All right, so we are all done with the carving. All in all, I would say that took probably somewhere around 6 hours to carve all that out. I like to take breaks when I carve just because it does make my hands start to cramp up a little bit. But yeah, that was actually quite a bit of carving, but it does look super awesome. So next up, I'm gonna go ahead and flip it over and get my hangers put on the back. I just got these sawtooth hangers and I'll just center them on those blocks. And then once I got those put on, I'll flip it back over and I'll do one final coat of my sealer just to go over all of this bare stuff, and then we will be good to go. All right, so that is it, all finished up. This thing turned out pretty cool, actually. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. If you guys have any advice or tips on how to make this thing better, I would love to hear them in the comments and let me know what you guys think of it. And if you guys have any other video recommendations, I would love to hear them down below. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope everybody has a great day.